I'm going to be reading the book of Ruth in the Amplified Bible. I'm going to be using the Amplified Bible. So it says, the book of Ruth. The author of the book of Ruth provides a cameo to the other side of the biblical story, the godly remnant who remain true to the laws of God, although the author of Ruth is not given anywhere in the book. The enemy should not distract from its spiritual value or literary beauty. Transition has attributed the writing of Ruth to Samuel, but this is difficult to reconcile with the mention of David when Samuel died before David was installed as king. The theme of Ruth is a simple yet intriguing short story. Throughout the story, the character developed and eventually exhibit wisdom, loyalty, and obedience to God and the customs of the day. We see an interesting romance bloom out of most unusual circumstances. It provides a platform for some profound under most unusual circumstances. It provides a platform for some profound understanding of God's covenant plans with his people, Israel. We see the detail of his plan unfold in the lives of a widow, her foreign-born daughter-in-law, and distant relative. We also see the lineage of David and Christ established and blessed. Ruth chapter 1, Naomi, widowed. So it says, in the last days when the judges governed Israel, there was a famine in the land of Canaan, and a certain man of Bethlehem in Judah went to live temporarily in the country of Moab with his wife and his 2 sons. The man's name was Elimelech, Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Mahalan and Chalion, Chilion. They were Ephraimites from Bethlehem in Judah, and they went to the country of Moab and stayed there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left a widow with her 2 sons. Where is my pen? Okay, I found a pen. They took wives from the Moabite women. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. They lived there about 10 years. And then both Mahlon and Chalion also died, so the woman Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Ruth chapter 1 verse 4, Ruth's name means friend or compassionate friend. Throughout the account of her life, it is easy to see that this enemy fully described Ruth's character. Then she set out with her daughters-in-law and to return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in Moab how the Lord had taken care of his people of Judah and given them food. So she left the place where she was living, her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they started on the way back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, return to your mother's house. May the Lord show kindness to you, as you have shown kindness to the dead and to me." Kindness, the Hebrew word translated kindness, is often used to describe God. It can also be interpreted as loyal love, May the Lord grant that you find rest, each one in the home of her husband. Then she kissed him goodbye, and he wept out loud. And they said to her, No, we will go with you to your people in Judah. But Naomi said, Go back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that may become your husbands? Go back, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I said I have hope, and if I actually had a husband tonight, and even gave birth to sons, would you wait until they were grown? Would you go without marrying? No, my daughters, for it is much more difficult for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has gone against me. Gone against me, Naomi felt that the Lord was disciplining her to be a widow in such a time, and also without children was very difficult indeed. Then they wept out loud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, and Ruth clung to her. Perseverance. When we sacrifice what would seem to be our best interests for another's welfare, God may unexpectedly use it to uplift and reward us. Ruth's desire to stay with Naomi not only lightened Naomi's lot, but it also brought Ruth into the Messiah's ancestral line. Then Naomi said, Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Turn back and follow your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, Do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do the same to me as he has done to you, and more also, if anything but death separates me from you. Your God will be my God. Ruth is casting her lot with Naomi, turning her back on all she had known. Most important, she is turning away from the many gods of Moab to the one true God of Israel. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. So the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. And when they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole city was stirred because of them. And the woman asked, Is this Naomi? She said to them, Do not call me Naomi, sweetness. Call me Mara, bitter, for the Almighty has caused me great grief and bitterness. I left full with a husband and 2 sons, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me? So Naomi returned from the country of Moab, and with her Ruth the Moabites, her daughter-in-law, and they arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the bare barley harvest. The Moabites, God attended his protection to Ruth, even though she was a foreigner and a member of a nation which had been the enemy of God in Israel. Ruth gleans in Boaz's field in Ruth chapter 2. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth and affluence from the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Boaz as a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech, as well as a man of both wealth and good character. Boaz was the ideal person to stand up for the rights of the 2 widows. In the ancient Middle East, a woman without a husband or father was a woman unprotected and with no way to make a living. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, Please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one of the reapers. in whose sight I may find favor. Naomi said to her, Go, my daughter. Glean the law. Moses allowed the poor to glean in the fields of the farmers in Leviticus chapter 23, verse 22, picking up this loose grain that fell from the shells as the reapers gathered them. So Ruth went and picked up the leftover grain in a field after the reapers, and she happened to stop at the plot of land belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. It was then that Boaz came back from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they answered him, The Lord bless you. Then Boaz said to his servant, who was in charge of the reapers, Whose young woman is this? The servant in charge of the reapers answered, She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, Please let me clean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came back. She came and has continued gathering grain from early morning until now, except when she sat resting for a little while in the field house. Then Boaz said to Ruth, Listen carefully, my daughter. Do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but stay here close by my maids. Watch which field they reap and follow behind them. I have commanded the servants not to touch you. And when you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw. Then she kneeled face down, bowing to the ground, and said to him, Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should notice me, when I am a foreigner? Boaz answered her, I have been made fully aware of everything that you have done for your mother-in-law, since the death of your husband, and how you left your father and mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people that you did not know. May the Lord repay you for your kindness, and may your reward be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Then she said, Let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me, and have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not as one of your maidservants. At mealtime, Boaz said to her, Come over here and eat some bread, and dip your bread in the vinegar. So she sat beside reapers, and he served her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left for Naomi. Come over here and let me eat some bread. Boaz not only let Ruth glean, he also provided her with food, and he went beyond the letter of the law, demonstrating God's compassion and the concern that each believer ought to show for others. When she got up to glean, Boaz ordered his servants, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not assault her. Also, you should purposely pull out for her some stalks of grain from the sheaves, and leave them so that she may collect them, and do not rebuke her. So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and in it was about an ephah of barley. She picked it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. Ruth also took out and gave to Naomi what she had saved after she had eaten and was satisfied. Her mother-in-law said to her, Where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who took notice of you. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, The name of the man with whom I worked today is Boaz. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, May he be blessed of the Lord, who has not ceased his kindness to living and to the dead. Again, Naomi said to her, The man is one of our closest relatives, one who has the right to redeem us. Then Ruth the Moabite said, he also said to me, stay close to my servants until they have harvest and my entire crop. Naomi said to Ruth, it is good, my daughter, for you to go out to work with his maids, so that others do not assault you in other field in another field. So she stayed close to the maids of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvests, and she lived with her mother-in-law. Chapter 3, Ruth chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to Ruth, my daughter, shall I not look for security in a home for you, so that it may be well with you? Now Boaz, with whose maids you are working, is he not a relative? See now, he is winnowing barley at the threshing floor tonight. So wash and anoint yourself with olive oil, then put on your best clothes and go down to the threshing floor. But stay out of the man's sight until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, notice the place where he is lying, and go and uncover his feet and lie down. Then he will tell you what to do. By uncovering Boaz's feet in this matter, Ruth was showing her submission to him while also asking him to be her protector. Ruth answered her, I will do everything that you say. So she went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law had told her. When Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was happy, he went to lie down at the end of the stack of grain. Then Ruth came secretly and uncovered his feet and lay down. In the middle of the night, the man was startled, and he turned over and found a woman lying at his feet. So he said, who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your maid. Spread the hem of your garment over me, for you are a close relative and a redeemer. Close relative and redeemer. Ruth reminded Boaz that he was a close relative of her dead husband, and in keeping with the law, a close relative was required to be a kinsman redeemer. This meant that if a man was slain, his kinsman redeemer had to avenge his death. If a man was sold into slavery, his kinsman redeemer paid the price to release him. And if a man died childless, his kinsman redeemer had the responsibility to marry his wife and father a child to bear his name. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 5, verse 10. Ruth was placing herself so that Boaz would know that she was willing for him to redeem her. Then he said, may you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made your last kindness better than the first, for you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. Now, my daughter, do not be afraid. I will do for you whatever you ask, since all my people in the city know that you are a woman of excellence. It is true that I am your closest relative and a redeemer. However, there is a relative closer to you than I. Spend the night here, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, fine, let him do it. But if he does not wish to redeem you, then as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning. So she lied down at his feet until the morning, but got up before anyone could recognize another. Boaz said, do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor last night. He also said, give me the shawl you are wearing and hold it out. So Ruth held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley into it and placed it on her. And she went into the city. When she came home, her mother-in-law said, closer to you, So Boaz remembers that there is yet a closer relative. There was that a relative would have the responsibility and the right to redeem Ruth first. If, however, he did not wish to or was unable to, Boaz would be free to do it himself. When she came home, her mother-in-law said, "How did it go, my daughter?" And Ruth told her everything that the man had done for her. She said, "He gave me these 3 measures of barley, and he said to me, 'Do not go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Then Naomi said, "Sit and wait, my daughter, until you learn how this matter turns out. For the man will not rest until he has settled it today." Ruth chapter 4, the marriage of Ruth. Ruth chapter 4, verse 1. The gate of the city was the place where the men congregated and where the officials of the city were to be found. Legal business was typically carried on here, where the elders of the city were present to be witnesses. Then Boaz went to the city gate where business and legal matters were settled and sat down, and then the close relative redeemer of whom Boaz had spoken came by. He said to him, "Come over here, friend, and sit down." So he came and sat down. Then Boaz took the 10 men from the elders of the city and said, "Sit down here." And they sat down. He said to the closest relative, "Redeemer, Naomi, who has returned from the country of Moab, must sell the plot of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. So I thought to let you hear of it, saying, buy it in the presence of those sitting here and before the elders of my people. If you redeem it, but if not, then tell me, so that I may know, for there is no one besides you to redeem it, and I am the next of kin after you." And he said, "I will redeem it." Then Boaz said, "The day that you buy the field from Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the widow of the deceased, to restore the name of the deceased to his inheritance." The closest relative redeemer said, "I cannot redeem it for myself, because by marrying a Moabite, I would jeopardize my own inheritance. Take my right of redemption and purchase yourself, because I cannot redeem it." Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 3, verse 4. Now, formerly in Israel, this was the custom concerning redeeming and exchanging property. To confirm a transaction, a man pulled off his sandal and gave it to the other. This was the way of confirming and attesting in Israel. So when the closest relative redeemer said to Boaz, "Buy it for yourself," he pulled off his sandal and gave it to Boaz to confirm the agreement. Then Boaz said to the elders and to all the people, "You are witnesses this day that I have bought everything that was Elimelech and everything that was Chalons and Malions from the hand of Naomi. I have also required Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Marion, to be my wife, to restore the name of the deceased to his inheritance, so that the name of the deceased will not be cut off from his brothers or from the gate of his birthplace. You are my witnesses today." All the people at the gate and the elders said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah and the 2 who built the household of Israel. And may you achieve wealth and power in Ephraim and become famous in Bethlehem. Further, may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, because of the offspring which the Lord will give you by this young woman." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And he went in to her, and the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. Then the woman said to Naomi, "Blessed is the Lord, who has not left you without a redeemer, grandson, as a here today, and may his name become famous in Israel." Ruth chapter 4 verse 14 says, "Who loves you is better than 7 sons." Ruth, although not knowing the outcome, showed kindness by staying with Naomi. Because of this, she also reaped what she had sown. A abundant blessing, she became the great-granddaughter of King David and had a place in the genealogy of Christ Jesus Boaz as the kinsman redeemer, and had to sacrifice his name. The son that was born would bear the family name of Moyan, but he was also abundantly blessed. Boaz received the admiration of the people. The beautiful and faithful Ruth became his wife together, and they became ancestors of the great Redeemer Jesus Christ. The story of Boaz's redemption of the foreign woman points to the wonderful redemption of Jesus for all those who believe in him. Then the woman, may he also be to you one who restores life and sustains your old. For your daughter-in-law who loves you and it is better to you than 7 sons has given birth to him. The line of David began here. Then Naomi took the child and placed him in her lap, and she became his nurse. The neighbor woman gave him a name, saying, "A grandson has been born to Naomi," and they named him Obed, worshipper. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David, the ancestor of Jesus Christ. Now these are the descendants of Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Amminadab. Amminadab the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Salmon. And Salmon was the father of Boaz. And Boaz was the father of Obed. Obed the father of Jesse. And Jesse the father of David, the king of Israel, and the ancestor of Jesus Christ. Finish. So I should read Ecclesiastes. Next one. First Samuel. Thank you, God, for the person, whoever is listening, and bless them. And thank you for waking me up this morning and protect me from evil people around me and protect my privacy. I pray that these people downstairs are mind their business and seek you and find forgiveness in their heart forever what's wrong with them. If I did anything wrong to them. But I pray that you give me more wisdom Amen. Thank you for listening, whoever you are.